right. I see a bunch of people joining. What's up, everybody? Looks like we got some people coming in still. All right. Chris, we good to go to start? Okay. All right, guys. Welcome to today's training. This is going to be so awesome. So, really excited. I was having some technical difficulties, so I was trying to, look super polished and have this amazing slideshow for you guys. We're going to still have, but I have to show you guys the preview of the slides coming up because I can't figure out how to work these dual monitors. But super excited. Want to make sure you guys are in the right place. We are going to be talking about how to make a ton of money. I'm going to try to keep my filter on. So it's normally a ton of money. But if you are excited about making money, let me know in the comments. If you're like, you know what, I feel guilty making money and it's just not for me and I don't like talking about money, then maybe this isn't the right place for you. But listen, if you're in the landscape lighting business or wanting to get into it, you need to talk about making a lot of money. And a lot of people are uncomfortable doing this. But the reason it's so important is because if you want to accomplish your dreams, if you want to be able to pay your people more than they're worth, if you want to over deliver and give that red carpet, white glove experience to your clients, you have to charge the right price. Okay. And so we're going to break down, one of the things I hate is I hate going to trainings or conferences or webinars and you kind of leave like not knowing, okay, what are the next steps? How do I implement this stuff? So we're going to do the exact opposite of that. I'm going to give you guys like strategy, but then the actual tactics and the things that you need to do and can do literally like in the next few minutes. I'm going to give you some of these things that's going to unlock so much potential in your businesses. So I want to do a couple things before we get started. If you guys would just put in the chat, I want to make this interactive. So if you just put it in the chat, like who you are, what do you identify as? Do you identify as a business owner, a lighting designer, a installer, a specifier, an integrator? If you're in the AV world, like just go ahead and put in the chat so I can get familiar with who you are and what you identify as. I would really appreciate that. And then we'll get rolling. I want to thank Garden Light for putting this on. Really appreciate them. And you guys may have heard the results are in. The votes are in. It's time to raise your price. So let's get into it. Before I give you guys these strategies and these tactics, I just want to introduce myself real quick so that you know I'm coming from a place that like I've been where you're at. I've gone through the trenches. I'm not just some guru who like makes shit up. Okay. And here's a picture of me actually pretty close to my house. I live down in this valley right down here. And I guess I was wondering, who am I? One of those days. Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing with my life? But I love the mountains. I was riding dirt bikes this day. I ride mountain bikes. We go fishing. We go camping as a family. I love the outdoors. So I absolutely love raising my family here in Utah. I was the first one in my family to go get a college education. So I got my degree in 2005. I got a marketing degree, and then I later got an MBA. And I was really proud of that just because no one had done that. And I wanted to be the one person to change our family lineage forever. Okay, we had got a history of non-successful people in my family, and I wanted to be the one. I wanted to change everything. So let's see what we got here in the chat. Okay, there's only a few of you guys. So we got let's see. First class lighting design. All right. So everyone else, you're not following suit. Put in the chat who you are. What do you identify as? And I want to know if you're lighting designers, if you're new to landscape lighting, if you're experienced, where you're at. Feel free to put any questions in there as we go too. If you have questions, like if just right when it comes to your mind, put it in there, and I'll get to those at the end. But anyway, I wanted to be the first one in my family to get a college education. I ended up starting Majestic Outdoor Lighting in 2007. We were a full-fledged lighting design and installation company. I grew that business to over $200,000 per month. Okay. And then I sold that business in 2019. I founded Landscape Lighting Secrets, which is a community and training platform for those looking to scale their landscape lighting business. And any questions you guys have on that at the end, I can go over. But I also, pretty proud of this one, guys. I'm the host of the #1 landscape lighting podcast in the world. Okay, so give me some clap emojis in the chat or whatever. But before you get too excited, it's actually the only landscape lighting podcast in the world. So not that hard to be #1, but I love doing that show. It's every Tuesday. I'm doing an episode today at 5 o'clock Eastern. And if you guys want to check that out, look it up. It's called Lighting for Profits. And some of the things I'm most proud of is somehow, some way, by a miracle of God, I've been married 22 years. And for those that know my wife, know that she's a saint. She has to put up with me. And so when you're married that long, that either means you're like really rich or really good looking. And I'll let you guys decide which one that is. And then I'm blessed to be a father of 4 kids. And honestly, this is why I do what I do, guys. This is why I wake up excited every day. I get to serve my family. I get to be that one person that changed our family's legacy forever. Here's some pics of us. The majority of these were from a trip. I took my kids to Europe this last summer. We hung out for 2 weeks in Rome and Portugal. And it was such an amazing opportunity that I got to do this. And this was me like fulfilling my dream. I wanted to do this for a long time. And I finally got the opportunity to do it. And I want you guys to, in a second, we're going to talk about what is your dream and why do you wake up and what keeps you moving forward? Because there's going to be times where you go to implement some of the stuff we're going to teach you and it's not going to work right away, or it's not going to work how it's supposed to. And you might get discouraged, and I don't want you to stop. Okay. This is the difference between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs, they run into a struggle. They hit something and it doesn't work and they give up. Professional finds a new angle. Okay. And so we want to teach you guys to go from amateur to pro on this quick training. Thank you guys for putting the chats. New to the industry, learner, designer, installer, bookkeeper. Exactly. Yeah. Doing everything in Northern Virginia. New to this app. Yeah, me too. I haven't done this much either. I'm usually a Zoom guy. Happy to be here. All right, sweet. I'm excited, guys. Keep the chat coming. Do you guys know the difference between an investment and expense? Well, I'm going to tell you. So they both cost money or time, right? But the difference between an investment and expense is an investment gives you a return on your investment. Okay. You go eat a sandwich for lunch today, like it's gone. That just cost you like $13. Okay. It's just gone. An investment is like you guys, this is a free training. So like it didn't cost you any money, but it's costing you time. So what is your hourly rate? And if your hourly rate is just $50 an hour, then it's going to cost you $50 an hour. But what do you want your hourly rate to be? Okay. Do you want your hourly rate to be $2,000 an hour? If that's the case, hold me accountable for $2,000 worth of value. Like if you don't get $2,000 worth of value out of this training, then that was a bad investment. That was an expense. So write down a number, like what do you need this to be worth, and make sure you guys get the value, because I'm confident. I know I'm going to over deliver. The stuff I'm going to go over is worth way more than the number you're probably thinking. These are the exact same strategies and tactics I use to build my business to over 200 grand a month. So I'm talking about literally giving you guys hundreds of thousands of dollars of value. The only difference is it's up to you. Like I can't control if you implement it. Okay. So make sure with everything you do in your life that you assign a value to it. Okay. And make sure you hold that time or that person or that money accountable for that investment. And by the way, guys, keep those questions coming in the chat. I'll go back at the end and make sure we answer every single one. I don't want to get thrown off track because I want to like be conscious and aware of your time and your investment. So I will go back and answer every single question at the end. My promise to you guys is this: I'm going to go all in. I hope you can tell right now, like I'm fired up. I love to serve. And the reason I do this, and I found out this over the last like 12 to 18 months, is because I'm kind of a selfish person. Like, I'm like, why do I like to give so much? It's because I get to heal my past. And when I say heal my past is I suffered a lot. I learned the hard way through the 12 years of growing my business, all the wrong things to do, all the wrong ways to do things. And it sucked. I'm talking, I made decisions that cost me $20,000, $30,000. Okay. And it took me a long time to make $20,000 or $30,000. So it hurt a lot. And so my promise to you is I want to over deliver. And when I do that for you, it's like solving my past. It's healing my past because I know I help set you on the right path, on the right trajectory. And I want to exchange that promise in exchange for your promise. I want you guys to write down a couple things as we go through this that you're not just, oh, that's a good idea, or I feel special, or, I feel motivated. Like you're going to feel motivated. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do to change your life? What are you going to be that one person that's going to change your family's trajectory forever, right? So write down these things. These are actual things that people pay me in my high ticket mastermind, $15,000, $20,000. My top level is $50,000. I'm giving you guys this stuff for free, and it's not valuable unless you implement it. So today's goal, we want to help you increase your profit. And why do we care about money? Well, it's so that you can live your dream, okay? Everyone has a dream. Maybe you haven't written yours down yet, but hopefully you will today, because this is the first thing I want you to write down, if you haven't written down anything, is I want you to write down what your dream is, because your dreams will become your reality if you so choose. Okay. I can't make your dreams happen. And you don't want to live my dream because that's my dream. Like, you want to live your dream. So one of the first pieces of homework I want to assign, okay, and you're not going to have time to do this right now because we're going to give you so much of the strategy and tactics. You're not going to have time to do this, but write down, you want to do this exercise, design your dream life. Okay, what is it? Make it clear. Write this stuff down. If it's in your head, it's never going to happen because it's going to stay a dream. This is how you make it become a reality. You get to design your business exactly how you want it. Let's say you want to build a $5 million, a $10 million business. Well, what would have to be true for you to do that? What people would have to be in what seats? Okay. And how much money would you have to be generating? How many leads would it take? Like, get super intentional. Okay. Every successful person that I've modeled my life around, they're way more intentional than the amateurs. Okay. Amateurs are just sitting around letting life happen to them. The pros are intentional and they design and create their dream life. And it happens. And you go, man, how do you do it? It's like, well, they just did what you are not doing. They made it intentional. So first piece of homework, write down, design your dream life. Now, have you guys ever said time is money? Have you heard that? Have you said it? I know I've said it before. Well, do you think time is money? Is that true? Because if you do, you're wrong. Like, time is not money. Okay. And if you're trading time for money, that's why you're at where you're at. Okay. The goal is to use leverage. Okay. Because time is way more valuable than money. If I said to each and every one of you on here, I said, hey, I'm going to give you $10 million. I'm going to give you $10 million right now. The only stipulation is you have to end your life right now. Like, would you take that deal? Would you take the $10 million? Like, of course you wouldn't, because you value time over money. You value your life over money, right? So we want to get you guys in this mindset of not trading time for money. And we're going to give you the tools to leverage time to make it work for you. Okay. So this, when I started my program, Landscape Lighting Secrets, I messaged people on Facebook and I said, hey, I help people get freedom from their business by helping them double their profits. And people would go, you can't help me double my profits. That's impossible. To double your profits, you'd have to work this. You'd have to do this. It's not even possible. You guys believe me? You guys believe when I say I can help you double your profits, like in the next 5 minutes? In the next 5 minutes, I can show you these exact strategies, the exact tactics, how to double your profits. So if you don't believe me, well, I'm about to show you. And if you do believe me, I'm about to show you. So it's okay either way. Here's how it works, guys. Most people hate math, and that's okay. I don't love it either. But when you learn that math is the path, okay, and you can assign almost your entire life to a simple math equation, this is how you design your dream life. So let's say there's a business out there, maybe someone on here, maybe you're doing 500 grand in revenue. You're making 50% profit margin, by the time you buy your materials, pay for your labor. So you're making 250 grand, but then you have, your trucks, your insurance, like all the overhead that goes with that. You got advertising, your office, all that stuff. And so at the end of the day, you profit 20%. Now, that's a pretty good business. So the challenge is, some of you might think, you know what, like, I got nothing to change, because that's an awesome business. And by the book, if you're making 20%, that's a great business. That's, by the way, that's after you pay yourself. So a lot of people get this confused. They're like, oh, I make 20% and then I pay myself 100, and then there's no money left in the business. And then you're cash poor and you can't afford to grow, right? So this is after you pay yourself. So if one of you on this call has this business, I would literally, I want to talk to you, because I want to buy your business. I want to invest in you. And the reason I would do that is because you think this is good, and it is good, but it can be great. So is it okay? Put in the comments, is it okay if I show you guys how to make this good business become a great business and use leverage to double the profits? Is that okay? I want to make sure. All right, Mason, thank you. Thank you, sir. He is the one person that gave me permission. So I needed permission before I can move on. So here's how to double your profits with simple moves. Okay. I'm not asking you to go from working 60 hours a week to 120. I'm not asking you to like hire more people and get all crazy. We're going to use leverage. We're going to make this easy. Okay. So here's how to make it easy. You were making $100,000 right now on that 500K. This is simple. We want to get to 200 grand, right? So let's just assume, I'm going to have to make some assumptions here, but I'm assuming this based on research and based on conversations I have with clients when they come to me to grow their landscape lighting business. It's very common for people to be charging $225 a light. Maybe you're at $250 a light, maybe you're at $500, doesn't matter. You can put in any number here. So at $225 a light, we know they're making 20%, which happens to be $45 per light. And again, that's a good business. I would invest in it because I would apply this one strategy and double the profits and double the valuation of the business overnight like that. Okay. So if we're going to double the profits, all we need to do, we don't need to go like build SOPs and hire more people and complicate things and buy new trucks. Like that's complicated. All I'm going to do is raise the price. I'm going to charge $45 more per light. So now I'm going to be $90 a light in profit. So 225 plus 245, I'm just going to raise my price to 270 a light. Are you guys with me? Because if you are with me and you raise your price to 270 a light, the only question is, what would you do with an extra $100,000? 100 freaking K, you guys. Like that's how simple it is to double your profit in your existing business. Now you might say, well, yeah, that's easy for you to say, but how am I going to get my clients to say yes? Well, good news. We're going to go over that. But what would you guys do with an extra $100,000? Maybe you're a bigger business. Maybe you're at $1 million in revenue. Let's just say 50% profit margin to keep that the same. But their expenses are 250 grand. Now you notice the net profit went up 25%. That's because they listened to one of my trainings on raising your prices, right? So they've got a higher price. We know that they're 25% margin instead of 20. Still, that's a good business. I want to make it great. I would buy this business because I would apply the same principle and double the profit. So how am I going to do that? We want to go from 250 grand profit to 500. Let's say this company raised their price. They're already at 300. So we know they're making 25%, which is $75 a light. If you have questions, put them in the comments, but this is straightforward math. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not a magician. $300 a light times 25%. They're making $75 a light. We know we want to double the profit. So now we have to charge another $75 a light, which means we're at $375 a light. If you do this one thing, you're going to walk away and take home an extra $250,000. Can you see how this is the number one? This is the most important thing you need to do in your business, because when you do this, it unlocks capital. Now you have 250,000. What could you do with 250? Well, you could invest in more advertising and grow the business. You could give everyone raises and keep employees longer, keep them happier, right? This is the way. This is the way. Yes, Joe. Awesome. Invest more into Ryan's coaching. I love it. So listen, I want to share these three things, okay? We're not going to have time to digest all of these because I'm going to go fast, but we're not going to go that fast. I really want to make sure you guys get this stuff. Number one, if you want to increase your profits, you've got to increase your price. This is fundamentally the easiest and fastest way to make more money. And we're going to give you the strategies to make it easy, because you don't want to raise your price and then not close deals, right? But the second one is increase your closing rate. Okay, most people in the landscape lighting world make it so freaking complicated, and they take notes and they have this great meeting with someone and they build emotion and then they leave, and then they don't close the deal because they email a proposal later on, and they're wasting time. They're putting together fancy designs that no one's ever going to say yes to, and they're wasting time. So we need to increase our price. We need to close more deals on the spot. Okay, you can close $20,000, $30,000 deals within 60 minutes. And then the third way is, like, it's really hard to charge a premium price, and it's really hard to close deals on the spot if you're not in front of the right person. So you need to focus on increasing high quality leads. Everyone says they want more leads. You don't want more leads. You want high quality leads. You want leads that are like not asking how much is it. They're asking, when can you get started, right? So we're not going to have time to cover these last two. Okay. We cover all this stuff in depth inside Landscape Lighting Secrets. We're not going to have time to really break these down. We're going to focus on increasing your price. Now, notice I didn't say, well, if you want to increase profits, a lot of people are like, hey, look at your balance sheet, look at your P&L. Well, you got to, you're paying too much for labor. No, you're not. You got to raise your price, or you got to find cheaper product. You're just spending too much money on product. That's not the problem. In fact, you want to charge you want to recruit the highest paying labor, and you want to use the best products on the marketplace. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a maintenance nightmare. You're going to end up with a system that's chaotic, and you have people that are unqualified to be working for you, right? And you're not trying to decrease the installation time. Okay. A lot of people try to solve the wrong part of the equation. We're going to be focused on increasing our price, increasing our closing rate, increasing the number of qualified leads. Now, there are when you join Landscape Lighting Secrets, almost everything's positive about it. The only negative that I've heard is that I do require people to print out this actual poster, and you have to print this out, hang it up until you master these things inside Landscape Lighting Secrets. And when you do, you can burn it, throw darts at it, you can tear it down, whatever. But I do it as a reminder, because as a business owner, as a designer, as a salesperson, you'll be tempted to do everything else. And why is that? Because this is the boring stuff. This is the hard stuff. You're going to want to just put out fires, because you know what? When you get a call from someone and you get to go put out a fire and resolve a situation with a client or a team member, that's busy work, and that feels good. That satisfies our internal desire to help people. But now you're busy, you're not productive. And so you're going to be tempted to do everything else after this. As soon as this call ends, you're going to get a call from your spouse, your kids, your team members, whatever. Like, you have to designate time, and you have to work on these things. If not, it's never going to happen. This is huge. I'm just hoping at the end of this, you guys will designate time every single week to be a business owner and really focus on the things that you need to do. All right. Any questions, put them in the chat, please. I'll want to come back and answer all this. Now, before we get into exactly what you should charge, because everyone's like, well, how much should I charge, right? Well, that depends, okay? You're going to have to know some things about your business. So does anyone know what daily overhead number is? If you know what daily overhead is, or if you know what your daily overhead is, and if you're feeling okay sharing that, put it in the chat. Daily overhead number is basically what it costs you to wake up every single day, okay? And I didn't used to know my daily overhead number, okay? I just thought, if I sell a job for $5,000 and the materials and labor cost me $2,500, then I'm going to make $2,500. And it's easy to forget about like all these other expenses that come along with it. And so it includes everything. It includes what you're paying yourself. Like, if you want to pay yourself $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, $500,000 a year, whatever that number is, it needs to go in this. And so what you do, you guys can do this, put this on your list of homework. Okay. So we should have design your dream life. The next thing I want you to write down is daily overhead tracker. You just get a Google sheet out. It's free. Write down all your expenses. Okay. If your rent is, $2,000 a month, then times that by 12. And that's going to give you 24,000. You're going to come up with an annual number for everything. So if you have quarterly expenses, times them by 4. If you have annual expenses, times it by 1. I want you to put in every expense you can think of that's going to cost you to run your business over the next 12 months. Okay, food, advertising, break it down and really put down everything in there. There's 2 areas that I see most people trying to forget about. Number 1, equipment replacement costs. So let's say you own a truck outright, or you have these drills and that you paid cash for them. Like, you're like, well, I'm not gonna have to pay for that because I already have it. Well, what's it going to cost you when that drill breaks? What's it going to cost you when your transmission goes out? There needs to be a budget number for what it costs you to replace the equipment that you've already paid off. And I used to forget about this stuff, and then I'd wonder at the end of the month, end of the year, where's all the money going? You can track it down pretty easily to see, oh, I didn't budget for that. I didn't budget for that. The other one is taxes. Okay. I would love to tell you how to not pay taxes, but I haven't figured it out. You're going to have to pay taxes. So budget for it. Okay. Now you want this number to be pretty friggin' big, because it should be everything. And again, I want to guys share this tip with you. Let's say you're at 500 grand in revenue, but you want to be $1 million business. What has to be true? Oh, well, I would need to hire an office manager, and that's 60 grand. Oh, and I need to get a shop, and that's 2 grand a month. You need to put in your future expenses. Okay. Because if you don't budget for who you want to be, you're never going to be that person. And that right there was worth like $150,000 in value, literally, because nobody does this. Nobody budgets. They budget for who they are today, not for who they want to be. And then they wonder where all the money is. So put in the number. If you're paying yourself 50 right now and you want to make 150, put in 150. Put in big, scary numbers here. Then you're going to come up with a total. And it's going to be whatever the number is. It doesn't matter. Everyone's number is going to be different. You divide that by the number of working days in your market. Okay. If you're in the South, you probably have more working days. If you're in the North, you probably have less. On average, we're going to see about 200 to 210 working days. You want to be conservative here. So if you think you actually have 245 working days, don't put 245, put like 215. Okay. Put a lower number. The lower number, the better here is because if you think you're going to work 245 days and you only work 235, you have 10 days of losing money. Okay. But if you think you're going to work 245 and you put 215, you have 30 days of gravy. That's what you want. Okay. And this is going to condition your mind. So the next time someone asks for a deal, and you say, oh, yeah, no problem, I can, you're going to be like, I can't, because I know my number. Like, I can't give you a deal. If I give you a deal, I'm going to be giving you money, and I'm not going to work for free. Like, that's not how this works. I'm not a charity. I'm a for-profit business, right? And you have to have evidence, because you don't believe in yourself yet. You need evidence to see that you really can't give someone that deal. And then they will believe you, okay? So you divide the total expense by the number of working days. If you have questions, please put it in the chat. We'll come back and get these. You'll get now your daily overhead number, okay? The first time I did this, it was $2,500. I was depressed for like a year. Like, $2,500? I couldn't even believe it. I had no idea, okay? So come up with your daily overhead number, and then you want to figure out, okay, what do I want to make? That's just what it costs me. Like, how much do I want to make every day? Like, does my business want to make $1,000 a day? Do they want to make $5,000 a day? Like, you get to decide. Maybe you're comfortable with $500 a day. You get to decide, and that's going to give you your daily magic number. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat. Let's give you an example real quick how you can spot check your number. Say you got 20 lights, you spent $3,500 in materials. Your daily overhead number was $1,887, which means you need to charge $5,387 just to break even. And of course, you want your business to make $1,000, so you're at $6,387. So if you, let's say you do your quote for, $6,500, and the guy says, hey, I'll tell you what, I'll do it if you'll do it for $5,500. Right now, before this exercise, you might be like, I kind of need to get something on the calendar. Well, why would you say yes to that? Because you're going to go work and lose money, right? There's no reason to do that. So this was a good way to spot check and make sure you're charging the price that's right for you and nobody else. You got to know the numbers. You really have to understand this, guys. And like I said, the pro tip here is budget for who you want to be, not how much it costs you today. Okay, I wish someone would have told me this years ago, because I didn't know this for probably 5-6 years. And I always wondered, like, how these companies make money. And that's because they plan for growth. They're intentional about it. They create the money before they have it, right? So if you want to have 2 install teams of 3 guys, an office manager and a receptionist and 2 designers, then put in all those expenses and see what it's going to cost you to operate that type of business. So is everyone ready to get into like the actual strategy of how we do this? Because this is it. This is the stuff here. It's so important to raise your price, guys. I mean, you look at what's happened in the last, I'm not going to get political here, even though we did say the votes are in, it's time to raise your prices. The last 4 years have been crazy from an economic standpoint. Inflation went from 3% to like 1,000%. Okay. All of our expenses are up. So all the stuff that I'm going over is above and beyond the price increase you should do just to get caught up to current economic standards. And then you're going to want to raise your price. Okay. I don't know anyone out there. I've never met anyone that's been like, I'm okay being second place, third place. We just want to be like top 10 in our market. Like in terms of lighting design companies, yeah, we're okay. Like, no, everyone wants to be the best. Okay. Well, if you want to be the best, you have to have the best labor, the best materials. You have to have the best systems. Like, you truly have to be the best. And if you don't have enough money, you can't afford that. You can't afford to pay people $35 an hour, $50 an hour. You can't afford that. Right. But when you realize this and you make the switch, you can do that, and you can over deliver, give them the right red carpet, white glove experience. This is when you have money and you're not making like Band-Aid decisions. And you guys know what I'm talking about. We've all made them. We've all made that quick, like, crap, I know it's not the right thing, but it's going to be enough to limp me by. We're getting rid of that strategy, because that's a broken strategy. Okay. One of my favorite quotes in the world is from Henry Ford. Whether you think you can or think you can, you're right. So if you're thinking right now, I don't know if I can do this. Well, you can't. Like, you're going to continue to prove yourself right. If you're like, you know what, I think I can do this, I'm going to be able to do this, then you can. It truly is up to you. Okay. I can believe in you as much as I can, but it's totally up to you. And if you guys need to borrow some of my confidence, some of my belief, please do that. But ultimately, you need to believe in yourself. And then, guys, please help me go viral. I'm trying to get famous, and I made up this quote, and it's not as good as Henry Ford's, but I truly believe in it. Make the choice to go to work because you want to, not because you have to. And the reason I came up with this is because I used to go to work because I had to. I'm like, dude, if I don't sell this person, if I don't do this thing, my kids are going to have to eat ramen again. Right. And I was like, dude, I don't want my kids eating ramen anymore. I have to do these things. Well, I made the choice to go to work because I want to, not because I have to, and it completely changed my life. Okay. And you can do that when you have money. If you don't have money, you're going to be making choices to go to work because you have to. So let's get financial freedom together. Some of the things that come into play here are your limited beliefs. Maybe you grew up without money. You didn't grow up with your parents driving a $500,000 car. People that go and spend $50,000 on a vacation. So it's hard to understand our clientele sometimes. That's nothing for them. For us to go and present a $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 lighting proposal, it's terrifying. It scared the crap out of me when I was doing this stuff, right? But once I peeked into and saw the lifestyle they lived, I realized, well, that's nothing. Like $100 like $10,000 to them is like $100 to me. Like, would you deck out your entire property with landscape lighting if it only costs you $300? Of course you would, because it's $300. You would find a way, right? That's the equivalent. Like, they literally make that much more money than regular people. Okay. A dollar does not equal a dollar to them. So in order to do these strategies, you first must be sold on yourself. You need to be convinced in yourself. Like, it starts with belief. And I want to make sure that you guys stay with me right now, because a lot of people, when they start hearing this stuff, they start tuning out. Oh, I've heard, just tell me give me the sales script. And it's like, well, this is the sales script. This is where it starts. Because if you don't have this foundation of belief, people are going to tear you up. You put me one-on-one against you in your market, my belief alone will tear through anybody's sales presentation, whether mine's polished or not. My belief will transfer to that homeowner, to that buyer, and they will buy from me every single time because they believe in me so much, because I believe in me so much. Okay. Like, they need to be convinced. And if you're not convinced, they're not going to be convinced. Okay. So I want you to start with this belief statement. Just write this down for now. Just write belief statement and write these 3 things. I want you to do this exercise later. My landscape lighting company is better than anyone else's in my market because. Why is your company better than anyone else's in the market? And if you're like, well, we're family owned. Like, who gives a shit? Every business in the world is family owned. I don't know if you know that. Like, most people have families. Okay. So family owned is not enough. Or like, we guarantee you satisfaction. Like, what? Like, and I'm just telling you all this stuff because I used to put this on my marketing postcards, and it's lame. Okay. Why are you better than anyone else's in your market? If you can't answer this, then you can't expect your client to believe in your company, right? With clarity. The next one, I am more qualified lighting designer or installer than anyone else because of what? Why are you more qualified? Why should they choose you? Okay. You have your company and then you specifically. And this applies whether you work for a company or you're the owner. You need to fill this out. Like, it starts right here, baby. And then the last one, if someone does not choose me to do their lighting, they will regret it because. If someone does not choose me to do their lighting, they will regret it because. Really, why would they regret it? Is it just because, like, if they don't go with you, they're going to go with someone else, and that other company has a bunch of 2-star reviews and they're shady as hell and they rip people off? Then write that down. Like, why would they regret not moving forward with you? And I go deep here, guys. I go dark. Stay with me. You're going to go, what? Who is this guy? I go dark because you know what I believe? The consequence of them not moving forward. Okay, imagine this situation. There's a neighborhood and it's got 10 houses. Okay, 4 of them have lights. I'm going to go rob houses this weekend. Which house am I going to go pick? Am I going to go to one of the 4 lit houses or one of the dark houses? So we all know if you're robbing houses, and some of you probably have actual experience with this, okay, you're going to go to the one without lights. Okay, so maybe the consequence is they're going to get robbed and they're going to get broken into. Can you imagine coming home? Some of you may have been broken into. You come home and your house is torn up. How does that make you feel? Like, can you recover from that knowing that an intruder was in your house? Now, that's not when I go dark. This is when I go the dark. Okay, what's the worst case scenario is if someone's actually home and their house is dark. Now you go from burglary to murder because they're like, oh crap, someone's here, I have to kill them. So there's no evidence, right? So unless you like people getting murdered, you need to be very convincing that they need landscape lighting, okay? They need landscape lighting from you today. If you don't believe in that, then you're not going to sell as much. If you're like, oh, it's a luxury item, I'm sure if people want it, they'll call. No, listen, everybody in the world needs landscape lighting. Not everyone can afford it. Not everyone's in the $5 million house, but everyone needs it because we know lighting is a deterrent. It helps with their mental health. It gives them a sanctuary when they get home. Like, I'm so convinced of these things that I don't need a polished sales presentation. Like, my belief alone is going to transfer. Okay. So I want you guys to get crazy with me. And what are the consequences of someone not moving forward with you today? Like, you have to believe in this stuff. So write that down, do this activity later. Also, don't price based on your competition. You guys know how your competition came up with their pricing? They called you, and they based their pricing based on you, and your pricing based on them, and you wonder why no one's making any money. Okay? That is a flawed strategy. I don't care about your market. I don't care about market research. I don't care what they're charging, because we're going to go from a red ocean to a blue ocean. We're going to let you guys charge the exact price that you need to charge in order to build your dream life. Okay. Use the daily overhead tracker and get to these numbers. So here's how we're going to do it. Some of you are like, there's no way in hell I'm going to double, like I'm going to add, $100 a light or whatever. So I want to convince you guys, at least today, commit with me right now that you're going to raise your price by 10%. If you guys can all just mentally make the switch, like right now, I just raised my price by 10%, I can guarantee an increase of at least 40% to your bottom line. And some of your cases, you're going to double your profits with just a 10% price increase. I mean, if you think about it, if you're making 10% after all is said and done, and you raise your price by 10%, you just doubled your profits. So here's an example, $1 million company, you're making that 25% margin. If you just raise your price by 10%, that's $100,000. So now you're at $1.1 million. You spend $750. Your costs stay the exact same. You don't even join Landscape Lighting Secrets. You don't do anything. You just listen to this and implement the 10%. Now you've increased your profit from 250 to 350, which is a 40% increase in profit. This is leverage, you guys. This is 10% equals 40%. This is how you use math to your advantage. Smaller company, 400,000, making 20%, which means you made 80 grand. That means you're going to just raise your price from 400 to 440, just a 10% price increase. That means you go from 80 grand profit to 120 grand profit, 50%, you guys. That's how easy it is. Now, some of you are like, well, if I do that, what happens when I lose customers? What if I told you you're not only going to not lose customers, you're going to gain clients with our strategies? But let's just say that you really, really do suck at sales and you do lose clients. Well, what's cool is you can afford to lose up to 20% of your clients and still make the same amount of money. So if you're working 5 days a week and you lose 20%, that means you don't have to work Fridays and you make the exact same amount of money. So you get to spend more time fishing, hunting, camping with your family, whatever you like to do for fun. You get Fridays off and you make the same amount of money. I mean, I do expect a thank you card in the mail or something when you're like lounging on the beach. Like that's how this works. Now, some of you are gonna be like, no, I'm addicted to work. Okay, so now you have an extra day to work and you're gonna make more money. So let's show you guys how to do this without losing any clients. The first thing I want you to write down is price marinade. This is a simple strategy. A lot of people do it wrong. A lot of people are afraid to do it. And here's how it works. Ask yourself the question, when you get a quote for something in your house, I don't care if you're getting a dishwasher or painting or lighting, whatever, like what's the number one thing people want to know? Put it in the chat. What's the number one thing people want to know when they call to get a bid for something? And some people say, well, the number one thing they want to know is like, are we family owned? Whatever. It's price. Yes, Mason, thank you. It's price. People just want to know how much stuff costs. Like, and when I was taught sales, I learned that you're supposed to build value, and then deliver the price. Don't do the price because you don't want to scare people off. Well, I did that strategy for years and it worked okay. It was good, but it wasn't great. Okay. Now, anyone who's sold anything high ticket like landscape lighting, okay, knows that when people hear the price, the one common element that's always going to happen, and I haven't figured out a way to eliminate this, is they're going to experience sticker shock. Has anyone had a client experience sticker shock? Of course. Like everybody does. Even people who live in $5 million houses, they're like, wow, that's a lot. Like it doesn't matter what number you say. No one expects landscape lighting to cost what it costs because rich people still go to Costco. They still see like cheap solar lights. So they just don't have the perspective that we have, right? And so what we're going to do with the price marinade is we're not going to eliminate sticker shock. We're going to deal with it. Okay, we've been dealt these cards. Like, we can't eliminate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to deal with it, get it over with, and then at the end, when we give our number, they're going to get sticker relief instead of sticker shock. So do you guys want to see how to get sticker relief instead of sticker shock when you deliver these $20, $30, $50,000 jobs? So I apologize in advance if you're vegan, but if you're a carnivore, you're going to friggin' love this. Okay. Think about like when you have a marinade, like how much better does it make? It's tender, it's juicier, everything's better all around. So we're going to give them the price up front, let it marinate a little bit, and then we're going to give them a decoy offer so that when we give them our real price, they're like, oh, that's it. It's only $40,000. So here's how to do it. When you get your initial intake call, like on that initial phone call, you guys all need to have a script. You all need to have somebody else answering the phone. If you don't today, that's fine. We can work through this. But if you're not doing this, you're missing out on huge opportunities. You need to, hey, is it okay if I ask you some questions to find out a little about who you are and why you're getting lighting? So there's a whole pre-qualification script we have. I'm not going to go over that whole thing today, but one of the things you're going to do is say, is it okay if I tell you a little bit about our company? You ask for permission, they're going to say yes. Cool. We've been around since this many times. We're husband and wife team, or, we've got, 4 designers, whatever your thing is. And our minimum job starts at $3,500, and average job is between $8,000 and $10,000. Does that sound about like what you're looking for? Okay, so you're going to throw out a minimum and an average. I just gave you an example. If your minimum job is $10,000 and your average is 20, doesn't matter. Whatever your real stuff is here, this is your real stuff. If you need to go a little bit higher because you want to start raising your prices, that's okay. If your average job is 6 to 7 and you want it to be 10 to 12, use some numbers that are going to be realistic, okay? Now, this is awesome because now you just implanted a number. What happens when you guys ask someone for a budget? If you're like, okay, what's your budget? Like, how many people, I don't know what the actual number is, but when you ask people for a budget, what happens? Like, they're like, I don't know. Or sometimes they really don't know because they don't know. They don't know what lighting costs. Sometimes they're like, they probably think it's 10 grand, but they're afraid because they've been burned by other contractors, usually roofers, no offense, roofers. They've been burned by somebody, right? And so they don't want to throw out 10,000. And then they think if your quote was 7,000, somehow it's going to be like 9,900 now, right? They don't know. Mason says, yeah, they say 500 because of Costco lights. Sometimes they do. They're like 500. So we just stop asking like, what is your budget? Because it's actually a dumb question. They say there's no such thing as a dumb question, but this one might be, because you're not going to get the answer, and the answer they give you is not going to be, it's not going to help you move forward. So what we do is we tell them a price, average is 8 to 10. Does that sound about like what you're looking for? They can do a couple things here. They could be like, yeah, sounds are about right. Cool. Let's get you on the schedule. We'll send out one of our lighting designers to meet with you. Okay. They could go, man, that's a lot higher than we thought it was going to be. Have you guys ever heard that? Oh, it's a lot higher. Usually you hear this at the very end. This is the sticker shock. We're getting over with, right? That's a lot higher than we thought it'd be. I love it when they say that. And I love it when they say it on the very first call, because now I get to ask the follow-up question that says, how much did you expect it to be? Now I have full control of this conversation, and I can ask that question because I've already thrown out my number, 10,000. And then they can say, and I say, how much did you expect it to be? And they're going to say, I don't know, five grand. Okay, cool. No worries. I'm sure we can find something that fits within your budget. Let's go ahead and schedule a time to meet up. Okay. So now you just said, how much did you expect it to be? It's the same thing as saying, what is your budget, but it's disguised. Okay. Because no one's going to ask what's your budget? They don't want to answer that correctly. But when you throw a number first and say, how much did you expect it to be? They'll gladly share with you their budget number. So you get what you're looking for. Okay. Now the key is to make sure you use a number that's way higher than you think when you do the price marinade. So what you're going to do is you're going to get to the property. You've already price marinated them a little because you said your average. Now, a lot of people are afraid to do that because you're like, well, I told them the average is 8 to 10. And what if it's a $50,000 job? Or let's just say a $40,000 job. Anyone have that concern, that feeling right now? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do this because what if, right? That's totally normal, by the way. Like that can happen. So it should be a concern of yours. So let's just say, hypothetically, you show up to the house and you're like, wow, this is an awesome property, right? And this is going to be way more than my 8 to 10. I can sit in the truck and I can count the lights. Okay, I'm going to about here. Here's about here. I think this is going to be a $40,000 project. Okay, I'm charging $500 a light, and this is going to be 80 lights. I got 32 on the house. I got these trees, whatever. I don't know exactly how much it's going to be, But this is why I like flat rate pricing, because I can figure out really quickly in my head, okay, about $500 a light's my number. That matches my daily overhead number. Like, here we go. And I know it's going to be 40. So I'm like, crap, how am I going to do this? Well, I go knock on the door. I introduce myself and I tell them, hey, Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, thank you so much for meeting with me. I got to be totally upfront with you. I feel so bad because on the phone, I know we told you an average job is between 8 and 10,000, but this property is special. And I think you guys know that. You guys have done a killer job. This place is epic. It's probably on the cover of magazines. It's manicured landscaping. You guys are awesome. But that does mean, like, this is a bigger property. Just being upfront with you, it's probably going to be around 40 grand. Okay. Oh, by the way, I screwed up because I'm saying that the job's going to be like we think it's going to be 40. I'm going to tell them this is closer to like a $70,000, $80,000 project. Can you imagine, you guys, when you tell someone they thought it was 8 to 10 and then you tell them 70 to 80? What do you think the first emotion is going to be? Like, that's sticker shock, right? And in Texas, where my business was, they have guns like on their hip. So it's kind of scary because you like, okay, they're like, reach for the holster. So when they're reaching for the holster, you say, but don't worry, because I'm sure we can find something that fits within your budget. And what'll happen, you guys will see when you say 70 to 80, they're going to have some type of sticker shock. They're going to have a reaction and they're going to go, wow, that's way more than we thought it was going to be. And what do you think the question is when they say that? The follow-up question, how much did you expect it to be? And what's nice about this is they might say, well, on the phone, you said 8 to 10, but we did figure, you know, our house is a little bit nicer than most. And we have, you know, they'll start using some of the words that you did when you shared your compliment with them. So they're going to now lay out, okay, 70 to 80 now, but you still have to correct it real quick and say, no worries. I'm sure we can find something that fits within your budget. Let's walk around the property real quick and find out what your priorities are. Okay. So you have to move the conversation over real quick. You're planting the 70 to 80 grand in their mind, inception. You're putting that number in, it's marinating. Now you got to keep moving. You're not going to just sit there and stare at them like, so what do you think? 70, I mean, it's a lot of money, huh? Yeah, like, don't make it awkward. Just throw out the number, assure them that you can find something that fits within their budget. How much did you expect it to be? Walk around the property. But now what's cool is you're going to walk the property. You're going to take your notes. You're going to send them inside. There's going to be a separation here. You're going to be in the truck, putting together your proposal. They're going to be inside going, is that guy crazy? I ain't spending no 70, 80 grand. Yeah, me either. I mean, I'd spend like 30 or something, you know. I mean, our house is, we are special. We've worked hard for this. We've earned it. Like, this is an awesome house, but I ain't spending no 70, 80, right? So they're marinating themselves and they're talking, because what's another objection that you get at the very end? People say, well, we want to talk about it. Well, it's because you didn't give them a space to talk about it. So we're like overcoming objections like easy now because they're talking about it. Okay. So now you go put your proposal together. You're going to go in the house. By the way, you have to make it inside the house. So I know this isn't on the slide or anything like that, but you need to get inside the house. So this is all about you setting expectations and coaching them through the process. So it's like, hey, I'm going to run to my truck, put everything together. Why don't you guys go inside? I'll come in. Let's just sit in like the kitchen because I want to show you some fixtures. Garden Light has an in-home demo kit that makes it so easy to sell. It anchors you in the house. Okay. So you're going to take that and be like, I'll meet you inside. Do you guys want me to knock, or is it okay if I come in? Right? Because you're not asking for permission to come in. You're asking, is it okay if I knock, or do you want me to just come in? Right? You're coming in. Because if you don't do this, you're going to knock on the door. They're going to meet you at the door and they're going to push you out because they know the game, and we need to be inside the house. So make sure you guys do that. Now you go inside and you present the 3 options, and one of them is actually going to be $70,000 or $80,000. One of them is going to be about 40, and one of them is going to be about 36,000. And they're going to literally say the words like, wow, that's, you know, let's just do the one that's 40,000. It's not as much, right? So that's how the price marinade works. You have to throw out these numbers in advance. Don't be afraid to do this, guys. So many people are afraid to do this and they do it wrong. If you throw out a price marinade and you think it's going to be 40 and you say 40 and then it comes up to 42, 44, like, you're screwed. Like, you're just not going to get that deal. So you have to throw out this decoy offer that's at least 50% higher. I like it to be like about double. I like it to be about 100% higher. But if you're not comfortable with that in the beginning, it has to be high, because what if you're wrong? Okay. So if you guys have questions, throw them in the chat. We're not going to have time to go over all my pricing strategies. So I wanted to give you guys this free guide. Feel free to scan that real quick. You do have to give me your email. So if you're like, well, I don't know, my email, like, it's so private, it's just an email, you guys. That's how we get it to you. So put your email in there. We're not selling information. We're not doing anything like that. Get this guide. It'll break down these pricing strategies. I won't have time to go over all of them today. All right. Hopefully everyone got that scanned. I'm gonna just keep moving on. Okay. Last one, triple option. And again, there's more. There's another one called the offer stack in that pricing guide as well. But we're gonna go fast here. Triple option. So why is it that everyone wants assigns different values to different things? I mean, there's people that will buy a $4 bag and a $3,800 Louis Vuitton, and they value it the exact same. One got it at the Goodwill and one didn't. Like, they value things differently, right? Some of us are fine driving a $20,000 car. Some of us need $120,000. Some of us need a $520,000 car. Why is that? Well, that's because we all value things differently. And the problem is, if you just give people, well, think about this. When a lot of people that you meet with, they'll say things like, if you're getting like a price objection a lot, you think that they're cheap, but they're not really wanting to be cheap. Like if you've owned a house longer than like 4 years, you don't want the cheapest, because at first, as a new home buyer, you always try to get quotes and get the cheapest, but then you realize you're burning yourself, and it's like, oh, I got to pay a little bit more, right? Most people don't want the cheapest. They also don't want the most expensive, right? And the majority of people don't want to go against the grain. Like, if their neighbors had a kitchen remodel, they're going to be like, hey, did they do a good job? Okay, I'll just use them, right? That's why referrals are so powerful. They just kind of want to blend in with everyone else. So we're going to go over the 3 options, and this is not good, better, best. A lot of people confuse this and they go, oh, good, better, best. This is not good, better, best. This is called triple option for a reason. So when I started my lighting business, I only offered one option. And the problem is, it worked. So I didn't know. This was like my example. Like, it was good, but I didn't know I could become great by offering more options. And so perhaps you're offering one option now because you're the expert. You did the homework. You did the research. You know what the customer needs. So you're just going to be the expert, and that's okay. But you're not going to become great by offering one option, because listen, we live in America and we value freedom. We don't really want people telling us what to do, right? And there's a way to do it where it can be their choice, but you kind of massaged it and guided them to make that choice. So people don't like this, and you might argue a little bit with me and say, well, it's working for me. And I'm not going to argue, because it's just because it's working, what got you here isn't going to get you there. Okay. You're on this training for a reason. You have to embrace this new way and try these new things. So after a while, I was offering one option. I would get the objection. I would lose deals, and they'd say, hey, these other, and I'd say, why did you go with them? Well, they said they could do this. They said they'd offer this. I'm like, we can do that. So I started offering 2 options, and I was like, well, yeah, we'll just offer a second option. And I thought this was great, because now we're offering 2 options. Well, the problem with this is, remember earlier I said people don't want the most expensive and they don't want the cheapest. Well, when you give 2 options to people, what do you give them? In their mind, it's literally just the most expensive and the cheapest, because there's only 2 options, and it's either high or low. Okay. And most people don't want to be here. So this is a dangerous place to be when you're offering 2 options. You literally just eliminated the majority of people. Finally, the 3 options. This is where the money is made. This is where the money is made. When you guys combine the price marinade to the triple option plus the offer stack that's in our guide, like, it becomes easy. It's like, this is so easy. And what you're giving a safe place for everybody, because there's some people that do want the lower price. There's some people that do want the premium. You guys know those buyers, right? And then the majority of people want something right in the middle. And you literally now have an option for everyone. So here's what's cool about the triple option. Okay, imagine it's like framing. Like, people don't know, if you give someone a quote for $20,000 for lights, is that high? Is that low? Like, they don't know. Okay, you can blame your clients for well, they know, like, they don't know. Okay, when I first got started in landscape lighting, I thought $4,000 was a lot for a lighting job. I couldn't believe it. I was like, someone paid $4,000 to have lights on their house? Like, because I grew up with a different background. Like, we didn't have money, right? So people just don't know what they don't know. We've done projects that are $100,000, and the next door neighbor has solar lights. That person doesn't value lighting, or they value lighting, but they don't value professionally designed and installed lighting. Okay, so when you show someone 20,000, it's like, I don't know if that's high or low. They have no frame of reference. So we're going to give them a frame of reference so that they know if 20,000 is a lot or not. And the key to this is offer it every single time. I don't care if they're a repeat client. I don't care if they're a client from another business of yours, if they're your best friend, a family member. People need choice. They don't want you telling them what to do. Okay. You will screw yourself over so fast if you resort back to your old ways just because you know the person or you think you know, oh, they got flashy cars. I'm only going to give them that one option. Nope. It needs to be their choice. You need them to see that they're a baller and they're getting the premium one. Because if you just give them the premium one, they don't know if that's cheap, high, or low. Like the people who buy the premium shit, they like to look down on others and say, yeah, this I paid double, I paid triple. Let them give them that experience, right? Don't take that from them. How are we doing, guys? Questions, comments, put them in there. So here's how it works. You got your low price, your medium price, high price. I call it mid-grade, premium, premium RGB. You can come up with your own names. Like in my company, Majestic Outdoor Lighting, we actually called it Majestic and Majestic RGB. So feel free to have fun with it. But you're going to break it down and you're going to show them how the one design, they're going to have one design, but they're going to have different price points for the exact same design. Okay. So garden light, for example, you can do a drop-in fixture, you can do an integrated fixture, and then you can do their RGB line. Okay. Garden light has all three options. But, and by the way, I don't like talk about brands. I don't talk price per light when I'm talking with people. I keep it vague, but they're seeing, and I'm putting in their hand the fixtures. A lot of people in our world are like, well, we're lighting designers. We're not fixture salesmen. I'm like, well, we don't sell fixtures until we sell fixtures. Because if I've had so many opportunities where I'm sitting there and in front of an opportunity and they say, well, you know, these other guys we had out, okay, what lights were they using? What fixtures were they using? They have no idea. I'm like, oh, wow. So you have no idea. Like they could be putting in plastic lights. I never really thought about that, right? So we're not selling fixtures until we're selling fixtures. I think it's important to show them the quality of the components that they're getting within this installation. So here's just an example. I want to show you guys this because a lot of people screw this up. People are like, oh, I tried good, better, best. I'm like, well, I don't teach good, better, best, so I don't know what you're talking about. How does good, better, best work? I do a triple option. The triple option works like this. You start with your middle price. So let's just say you're at $300 a light now. Well, now today you're going to be $400 a light. That is 100% of your price. Okay. You need your top option, that RGB option, to be about 200% of where you're at. It needs to be a significant, this gap needs to be huge. Okay. Because these people, they need that gap. They want, if it's too cheap, they're not going to buy because it needs to cost more. They're not going to buy a car that's $20,000. They need that car to be $500,000. That gives them value. That's not your value. That's their value. So don't take it from them. Okay. And then this is huge. This number has to be 10%. If this is more than that, you're going to get so many people choosing this bottom option. And I know this by experience. I did this. This was an opportunity. I had a job. It was 15,000, 20,000, like 28,000. And the guy was a doctor. He had tons of money. He chose the $15,000 option. I said, what? What do you, I'm like, I literally expected you to do the middle one. He goes, why? I'm like, because everyone does the middle one. Like, really? You're going to do our cheapest one? Like, what's holding you back? And he's like, well, honestly, it's $5,000. Like I can go spend $5,000 more on our vacation next week. And I'm like, really? So it's just the money. It's just like the gap. He's like, yeah. I'm like, so you're telling me if it was like 18 and 20 and 28, you would have done the 20? He goes, yeah, because then it's just like a couple grand, you know, it's like, it's not that big of a gap. I'm like, oh, okay. So you got to learn from all your experiences, guys. And I changed that gap to 90%, 100%, 200%. This will change your life. This will make all of your sales become natural and easy because people logically go, well, if we're going to spend this much money, what's in the extra 10%? Now we get from a 5-year warranty to a 20-year warranty, right? And warranties can be whatever you guys want. Just because a manufacturer, Garden Light, gives you a 20-year warranty, you can make it 3 years over here. Like you can make your warranty whatever you guys want. You don't have to stick to them, right? But this percentage is huge. Don't screw this up. If your number's too low here, everyone's going to choose their lower one, and you're going to be wondering why you're not making any money. So I want to show you this example real quick before we wrap up. This is, if you give someone a quote and you're like, it's $8,000, right? And by the way, we're talking price per light here. Do not talk price per light with customers. They don't know how to handle it. They don't want to buy a light for $400. They'll gladly spend $8,000 to have an awesome lighting system that's going to transform their space, give them mental health, security, safety, all the stuff. $8,000, that's a no-brainer, right? But no one wants to buy a light fixture for $400, okay? But look, there's no reference. It's just $8,000 for 20 lights. I don't know if that's high or low. Is that a bad deal? Is that a good deal? I don't know. When you frame it, now it's like, well, wait a minute. We're not spending $15,000 on lights. You think we're crazy? We're just normal people. We're not going to spend 15. Let's just do the one that's 8 because, you know, if we're going to spend 7,200, what's an extra $800? We get a better warranty. You seem more comfortable with it. Let's just do that. That's normal. right? Can you see how the price marinade and the triple option work together? Because you've already price marinated them at the 15, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's only 8 for the one with the 20-year warranty. Oh, dude, let's just do that. This is so easy. Okay. Don't discuss price per light. I know I use flat numbers, but don't use flat numbers. Okay, this is like $79.95. This is like $15,126. Like, don't do that, because there's enough accountants out there that'll be like, so about $400 a light, and you're like, play dumb. Okay, they still are going to do that, and they're like, is that what it works out to? Yeah, I don't know. Just move on, right? Don't get into this price per light game. People don't know how to handle it, so don't take them there. Just a couple things to remember. Don't sell with your income and buying habits in mind, because you have not experienced what your customer has experienced. Okay. They've gone on vacations that cost $100,000. Until you've done that, you don't know how they think. Okay. And by the way, I encourage you, go buy the most expensive truck you can. Go fly first class. When you start to experience the life of your customers, it's easier to get in that mindset, and it's easier to expect them to spend this kind of money, because it's nothing. It's literally nothing. And I learned this the hard way, because I grew up in Utah, right? And I grew up skiing, and we'd go to like resorts that were like $20 a day. Well, the first time I in Texas, I would tell people I'm from Utah, and they go, oh, cool, we love to ski. I'm like, oh, where do you ski? You go to Utah? No, we go to Vail. Okay, what's a Vail? Like, I'd never been to Vail, and I had no idea. And I go to Vail for my very first time, and I couldn't believe it, you guys. People were spending $1,000 a day to put their kids in private ski school. $1,000 a day. I'm spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 for an apartment for the week. And these are the same people that told me, wow, $20,000 for lights, that seems like a lot, doesn't it? And I believed them. Right? So you don't know what they don't know. They just need to be led with value. They need to set expectations. You need to price marinate them, follow these scripts, give them options, and lead them to the promised land. So remember, guys, focus on these things: increasing your number of quality leads, increasing your closing rate, and of course, we talked about increasing your price. I want to give you guys some resources as we wrap up here, and I'll answer any questions that you guys have. Landscape Lighting Secrets. If you just go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, you can actually book a call with me on there. Go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, click Start Now. There's a free case study that's going to give you guys a ton of value on things that you can do right now in your business. So again, landscapelightingsecrets.com. Click Start Now, put your email in, watch the case study. You can book a call with me from there. I do a free strategy session for everyone. We can go over any aspects of my program, anything to help you out there. This QR code right here is awesome, because it's a link to a lot of different resources. It's a link to my podcast, Lighting for Profits. It's a link to my private Facebook group. There's a lot of free resources on there. So we kind of have people, when they come to work with us, they have there's like the slow lane and the fast lane. If you want the slow lane, we have the podcast. I've helped people make tens of thousands of dollars by just listening to the free podcast. Okay. So you want a slow lane, go to the free podcast, free Facebook group. If you want the fast lane, go to Landscape Lighting Secrets. That's going to be a lot faster. Use that QR code for any resources. Remind you guys, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Okay. And I can't change that. I just want to encourage you to think that you can, because believing that you can is way more profitable than believing that you can't. Okay. That's really what I want to leave you guys with. So please let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go to those right now in the comments. I'm just going to start at the top, see if I make sure I have everything. Thanks, guys, for I didn't see all these comments on here, so thanks for commenting where you guys are from and everything. What's up, Tasha, Mason, Kyle, Garrett, Joe Rubino? What's up, buddy? Boma, how are you? Thanks for commenting on here, guys. Okay, let's see. We got one from Mason. They're always above and below the average, but it is scary. Yeah, it is scary, like throwing out these numbers. Do you think it's better than the add-on cart method? I'm not sure exactly what you mean, add-on cart. I mean, the add-on cart is a lot of like upsells, that they have online and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't really try to do an add-on cart in person like that. We'll do that with some of our digital stuff with my new business now. But I like just being upfront with people and like asking good questions, like tell me what's the focus of your project, the front, the back, zones, things like that. And then just laying it out how I did with the triple option. By the way, guys, when you do a proposal, you want to separate it. So even if someone's like, we want it all, we know you're the best, we've seen your reviews, just deck it out front and back. And I've screwed this up. You don't want to just do like front and back total 100 grand. Like you want to say like, hey, the front of the house and the front home exterior and front landscaping, that's about 20 grand. And then by the front gate, that's about 15 grand along the driveway and everything. And then the backyard, this is going to be about 20. And then over here, you want to kind of break it up into zones of like $10,000 to $20,000 chunks, because you'll find that people trust you enough to hire you, but maybe not to go all in. So they might be like, hey, let's just get started with like the front of the house. Make sure this person like, returns phone calls, shows up on time, all that type of stuff. And then we'll unlock the whole project. So again, don't make assumptions. Even if they say they're ready to go, like you want to let them decide that they're getting the triple option on all these different zones. And then they can go, you know what, let's start with this one and this one. And they might, there's times where like, knock it out, let's do it all, right? But it's their choice, not yours. Let's see. Do you normally use the same amount of lights, just different tiers of products? Yes. So there's different ways to break this up. I personally like from a lighting design standpoint, like I'm not going to sacrifice the design integrity. If this tree needs 5 lights, it's getting 5 lights. Doesn't mean I won't change it later, but like I'm going to break it up into zones and say front of home exterior is this, right? And if someone says, well, I don't want, 22 lights on my house, I just want 8, like there's a point where I'm like not willing to do that. Right. But I will do the same. I don't do my triple option based on design. Some people do that. I haven't seen any evidence where that's more effective. That's where you combine the triple option with the zones, right? So it's not just a full design, it's a design with zones and the triple option. Hopefully that makes sense. If triple option, are we keeping same amount of lighting fixtures but less bells and whistles? Yep. So similar question. It's really what I'm trying to do is sell the same design, different product levels. And that it just, again, like it'll open it up the world, because there's people that truly want to buy the most expensive, right? And they don't know, if you just give them an option for like $50,000, they don't know, is that the most expensive or not? You're showing them that, yeah, it could be 25, 50, or, 22. They see, oh yeah, we always buy the top. So let us do that. And then the people that like to be in the middle, which is the majority, it shows them that they're not crazy. They're not spending no 50 grand on lights. They're only spending 25. And then the people that are cheaper, it allows them to do that. There's sometimes people that even they have money or something, but they're like, yeah, I'm moving in a year, and they're not wanting to deck it out. They know they want lights. They know they want professional. They know they're going to hire you, but they are going to try to keep the cost down. They're going to probably choose that cheaper option. So Mason has a question. I've listened to some of your YouTube. I know I don't qualify for your big group. Where would you steer me to get going in January? That's a great question. So I would say this, Mason. I mean, I don't mind getting on a call with you. Like my strategy sessions are not just about, all right, I gotta sell every person into my program. Most people are pretty, serious when they get on those calls and want to, but I'll share kind of a few different things. I've had some people that think they're not ready, and they're like, dude, like this is actually what I need. It's not for everybody, I will say that, but a lot of people have found a lot of value in getting on that call. And then at that point, if it doesn't make sense, we can route you somewhere else. But a couple of resources just to like get your feet wet, get things going. My free podcast. I've had so many people join my program because they say, you know what, I've made so much money from listening to your podcast, implementing those things. I feel guilty. So they're like reserving a little piece of the pie to come back and be part of the program. And then that's when you really experience momentum. If you want Lighting Academy, there should be a link. It's lightingacademy.net. Should be a link in that QR code. And that's what's here. It's not as business oriented, but if you need help with just design and installation and getting started, it's super low ticket. It's $1 to get started. It's a trial for a week. You try it for $1. If you like it, you stay. It's $97 a month. And you get access to the actual Lighting Academy training. So we have like video training, we have in the field and classroom training, and a call. So you get a lighting design call twice a month and a lighting installation call twice a month. So almost every week you can get on with a pro. And then my coaches that run this, they've been in the industry for over 25 years. I don't think there's anything that they haven't seen. Every project's unique and different, so there's still going to be some of that. But if you have a project where like, hey, I sold this job, I don't know where I'm going to put lights, I'm in panic mode, you can get on those calls with them. And then they're always teaching design concepts. And the private Facebook group, you can tag me, I'll help you in there as well. So Lighting Academy is a great start. There's not a lot of business stuff in there. When you really want to like master pricing, sales, marketing, getting those high qualified leads, Landscape Lighting is Landscape Lighting Secrets is the place to be. We also have Light It Up Expo. So this is coming up, you guys, February 28th, March 1st. You want to get in now. It's our early bird pricing. You can go to lightitupexpo.com to get information. Again, that link should be in this QR code. And that's an expo where we're teaching landscape lighting, permanent lighting, and holiday lighting. So if you want to bolt on any areas of those business, this is the expo to be at. We'll have speakers, we'll have breakout sessions on each of the pillars, and we'll have a trade show where you'll have the ability to meet with vendors, manufacturers, service providers, and stuff like that. Okay, here's a question. What is your philosophy and reaction to my approach? I offer 3 options in every bid, but usually option 1, example front facade, is what they asked me out to their property to quote them for. And option 2 and 3 are additional items. Example, option 2, driveway trees, and option 3 includes backyard. This way they see the thing they wanted is the cheapest, and I plant the seed for follow-up on phases. I love it. I think it's phenomenal. Most people, when they're doing landscape lighting, especially if it's their first time, they don't know. Like they think they're calling for the front, I think is what, like in this example. Yeah. Like, hey, we just want the front of our house. But when you start talking to them from in a design world, be like, hey, have you guys thought about lighting these, what was it? Your front trees and then your back, like that's awesome because you're already separating yourself from the pack and everyone else is just kind of like, oh, just do what my customer says. Right. So there is a way to do it and a way not to do it. You don't want to come across salesy. But I love it for a few reasons. One, because it can differentiate you and they see you as like this master artist who's like let's put together the master plan. And this is the master plan for lighting design. And then we'll focus on here's what you guys asked for. And it's awesome because even if they don't move forward with those other options, it's still a decoy offer. It still shows them that life could be worse right now. It could be as high as 30,000. They're only spending 10. But I would still incorporate the triple option and the price marinade. It just makes it easy, when you do that, because they're seeing 3 options from you, like what they asked for plus this, but they still haven't satisfied that internal desire for 3 bids because for the one thing that they want, you only gave them 1 bid. And I don't know why, guys, but I'm going to ask, this is one of the first questions when I die, I'm going to ask God, like, why did the last thing you put in us before you kicked us down to earth, why did you put into us the desire to get 3 quotes? Because every homeowner wants to get 3 quotes. I don't know why, but the triple option is genius because it just dissolves it. It gives them exactly what they're looking for. So I would do exactly what you're doing, but I would incorporate the price marinade and the triple option, and you'll see your closing rate go up for sure. Great questions. Anything else before we wrap up, guys? Okay. I don't know if the Garden Light team is on. Is there anything else that you guys need from me? Make sure I don't see any other messages in here. Well, I just want to thank you guys. Really appreciate you coming on this. Listen, all this information we went over could be the most valuable thing you learned all year, or it could be a waste of time. And it would really, really hurt me if it was a waste of your time. So please write down these things and implement them. Like if you're like, well, I'm too busy, like schedule 2 Fridays from now to like work on your business. Okay. And then get into the habit of every day working, or every week working on your business. So schedule in time to be business owner, schedule in time to be your own business advisor. And like, if you don't implement this stuff, then you just wasted time. Like who cares? You're going to brag to your friends how you went to some boring webinar. Like you guys have to implement this stuff. And I promise, if you do this, this isn't just like a one-time thing where like, oh, that's cool, I made an extra $4,000. Like, this is how you make $4,000 every single week. You go and make an extra $4,000 a week, suddenly you're at an extra couple hundred grand a year. Okay. That's when people start feeling guilty and they're like, all right, how do I join Landscape Lighting Secrets? So selfishly, I'm doing this to help me as well, but I only do this by serving you guys. So if you guys don't do this, this was a waste of time. So don't make it a waste of time. Make this the best investment you made of time all year. And hopefully I'll see you guys inside Landscape Lighting Secrets or Lighting Academy, or I'll see you at Light It Up Expo. If you guys need anything, you can email me at support@ryanleecoaching.com, support@ryanleecoaching.com. I'm on your side. I'm on your team. I want to see you win. So reach out, and I'll see you guys on the next one.